Hey, hey, everybody. Second half on deck for you right here on the sidelines, here live in the ACN studios. Glad y'all could join us. Make sure that you hit that Facebook page on the sidelines and the ACN Sports page as well. All right, just finishing up our high school preview. Got Aaron Daniel in the house from Jocks Preps. And we just got done talking about the Birmingham metro area. Now we're going to move down to some of the smaller schools that don't get as much love, but we want to show love to you guys because you guys work just as hard and sometimes harder depending on the budgetary situations. So what do we see from our smaller programs here in the state?
I usually don't classify 5A as small, but it is smaller than 6A.
It used to be the biggest.
yeah, one time it was.
Well, at one time when Calera was smaller than Montevallo, I think it was funny. Back in the time, Montevallo used to whip up on Calera, and that was one of the best rivalries in the state. People did not like each other.
Not anymore, I'll say that. Calera has greatly.
Calera has now, yes.
Montevallo had one really good year recently, and that's pretty much been it. So, and now Zacho's no longer there. Calera is going to be interesting because they're lucky that Demopolis lost Stacy Luker, who headed down south to Clark County for a change of scenery to head back to where he's accustomed to. And Demopolis won a region title last year. And I think Calera is in line for the region championship this year. It's a bad region. It's a two-horse race. It's always going to be Calera and Demopolis because as long as it stays this way, because Dallas County, no, Jemison, Central Tuscaloosa. Central used to be good. Those days are long gone. Central and Marbury will not compete with those teams. So I expect Calera to have a fine season, an unbeaten run through region play. I'd be shocked if they weren't 6-0 in region play at the end of the year. As to state challenge, it's going to be really tough when you have to deal with both Region 4, which holds Beauregard and Central Clay County, and even Sylacauga, who looked really good last year, and Region 1, which is the king of regions in 5A, with Viger, St. Paul's, and Jackson. I think St. Paul's is likely a state finalist this year.
They're always in it, aren't they?
If it's not Beauregard. Beauregard, I think, is the favorite going in.
No, it's Beauregard.
But St. Paul's is right there. St. Paul's will always churn talent out. Yes. We've seen it.
The last thing I want to do is play a bunch of boys from Beauregard.
I understand.
You know what I'm saying?
So, but St. Paul's, I know, and they just lost some key players with Ryan Johnson being the big one of that off the defense. But they also have Jalen Armour Davis back at defensive back. They're still going to be as good as they have been with Steve Mask as a head coach. It doesn't matter who he has; he's just going to reload and get back to work. They had a bit of an off year last year at 9-4, lost the region title to Viger, who was a big surprise last year, honestly, because it's really been St. Paul's and Jackson going at it down in Region 1. So Viger was a nice change of pace, and we'll see if Viger can handle the loss of a guy like Charles Crawford going forward. But I'm looking forward to seeing how that region plays out down in the Gulf, and seeing if Calera, how they do in the shark-infested waters of once they get to the playoffs, because they only went 2 rounds deep before bowing out in Zal's. I guess this is his first year last year at Calera. So
Yeah, coming over from Montevallo.
it's going to be interesting to see what year 2 looks like. Quad Brown at quarterback, 6'5", $175. He needs to get a little muscle on him, but man, he's
a rail.
But he's tall.
He's a young buck, that weight comes with time.
But he's tall. He's a junior this year, and we all know height is very, very crucial at quarterback to being able to see everything going on in front of you.
I never had a problem with
it. Depending on what class you're in, it gets a little bit easier.
My tight end was 6'8".
If you're maybe a 5'10" quarterback in 2A, you probably have a better shot. I'm looking forward to seeing what Quad Brown does with Calera, but I'm leaning more towards in the camp of Beauregard or St. Paul's making a state championship run.
Andrew's out. He was
beating whoever it is from the north that gets there, because because the Nix family's gone from Scottsboro. Mortimer Jordan had their great season 2 years ago, and Spencer Brown's gone. I don't think they're getting back anytime in the near future. I don't know what to think of Alexandria 2 years removed from a semifinal and not making the playoffs last year. And I watched them in person 2 years ago. That's as good a running game as I saw in the state. They have a really good rushing attack, but they couldn't make work of it last year. So I don't know what to think. And Etowah lost Dalton Hyatt. To me, it's the South's picking again for a state championship in 5A, no question.
All right. Well, we know you got to go. So before we let you get out of here, take a look at the Montgomery area. Sure. I know you like park crossings. Carver Montgomery has fallen on hard times. So What do you see out of the Montgomery area?
Yeah, in 6A Region 2, Park Crossing has got a challenger. It's not Carver, as we mentioned, and Carver was third actually in the region last year at 5-6 overall. It's not a good season for that region in general. Stanhope Elmore has had coaching issues like every year it seems like. Mike Dean was there last year and now he's gone immediately, so he lasted one season. Russell County's not going to be there. Northview's not going to be there. Dothan is an interesting case. We'll see what they can do. Sidney Lanier, the Poets.
The Poets.
One of the strangest nicknames in football, just in sports in general. But they're actually the best challenge Park Crossing has in region play because of quarterback. And when you have a guy who is a Missouri commit, you're gonna have some good stuff. And ironically, quarterback for Park Crossing, Cam Taylor, who is listed as an athlete, will probably not play quarterback at the next level, is also now committed to Missouri. So we're gonna see when these two go at it. And I believe I'm trying to remember the quarterback's name off the top of my head, and it's lost on me at this moment for Sidney Lanier, and I feel horrible about it. But two Missouri commits, two SEC commits, playing at the Crampton Bowl on a Friday night, and these two had like a 13-10 battle the year before. So I'm looking forward greatly to seeing how that game plays out because. Yeah, James Foster is who I'm thinking of for Sidney Lanier. Okay. Because Lanier lost Foster in the middle of that game. And was very likely to win that game if Foster doesn't have to leave early. Park Crossing wins on a lengthy field goal from a great kicker. And it looks like Lanier, as long as they just keep the momentum from last year, is looking dead on at a region championship, which is, you don't think about that when you think of Sidney Lanier. And Park Crossing, in its very few seasons it's been around, has shown complete dominance in the Montgomery area so far. So it'd be nice to see a team be able to push them back down a little bit because I've felt that their attitude has not been great. I know you saw a little bit of it in person
you
last
saw it in the
year,
Opelika game. It was from the coaching staff and the players. I lost a lot of respect for Park Crossing. I'm just going to say it. We
were predicting last year, and my
probably took an hour to go play 2 minutes of football. There were so many.
My colleague John Lunsford thought Park Crossing was going to win last year, and they had the talent to do it. I didn't question him about the talent. The talent was there. They have a quarterback now who's at Louisville. They have the talent. The issue is killer instinct and mindset. And to me, I don't look at Park Crossing. I didn't look at Park Crossing coming off a season where they had won the region yet lost in the first round. I'm not looking at that team thinking, yeah, they're going to make a state championship run. And it's because they don't know how to win yet.
No.
Right.
They're learning that. Give it time. It may not be this year either. But give it time. That program will have a state championship within the next 5 years, in my opinion. They're too good not to.
Right.
But a big issue for them is they don't have a lot of great competition in region play. And you need to be able to beat yourself up in the regular season and get ready for the grind of the playoffs. Usually the teams that win a state championship have come from good regions where they have had tough games week in and week out. We saw it with Piedmont. Piedmont was the ultimate example of that. Right. That region went, I think, 23-4 in non-region games in the regular season, which is unfathomable that top to bottom, everybody was beating everybody they were facing. So they went through a grind, faced a lot of good competition, went unbeaten through that schedule, and then just ran roughshod through the rest of the schedule until they got to the state championship game, faced Mobile Christian, and had a tough one, but won a second straight state championship. So that's another Park Crossing issue is lack of tough schedule. They have to try to put in some great teams non-region to balance that out as best as possible. And they try to do that. But unfortunately for them, Clay Chauffel, who is on their schedule, has fallen on hard times and is not the program they were 2 years ago. So you can only schedule them. You can't shape how they're going to look when you actually face them. So they have not been prepared very well for the playoffs.
There's something to be said for a strong division because as we all know as SEC fans, having a strong division and coming out of that, there's a lot of respect that comes out of that. And as we also all know in Alabama, iron tends to sharpen iron. So. Aaron Daniel, thank you so much for coming through, man.
Thank you, guys.
The high school preview, y'all. Make sure you check out Aaron's work at Jocks Preps. We're going to take another short break, then we'll be back with Archie Shea of WUMP up in Huntsville. Everybody stick around. We'll be right back.